Good morning and happy Wednesday. This is Miss Saroni again. I hope you're enjoying learning about graphs. This week, Miss Horn will be with you the next 2 days to finish out the lesson with you. I hope you had a great week, and I will see you next week to do some more math. So let's get started on our lesson for today. All right, we are in your practice book on page 206. Okay. All right, we're going to read the problem and then we're going to show the data in a graph. Lynn visited an apple orchard. She looked at one row of trees. She wrote down the color of apples on each tree. So here she collects her data. In one row, she saw a red apple tree, another red apple tree, a yellow apple tree, green, red, yellow, red, green, and green. That was all one row of apples at the orchard she was at. So the first thing Lynn needed to do is to organize her data. So what she did is she made a tally chart here. Okay, remember we looked at tally charts in the last lesson, and we said it was a good way to collect and write down your data or the information you receive before you develop your graph. Okay, so each color she wrote down represents the color of an apple tree that she saw in the row. So when we go to make our tally chart, how can you make sure that all the colors Lynn wrote down are recorded in the tally chart? All right, one way is to cross off the color as you make a tally mark. And then at the end, make sure that the colors you have at the top match the number of tally marks you wrote. So here she had a red and she made one tally mark. Then she had another red. She made 2 tally marks. Then she has another red, so that's 3 tally marks. And then she has a red here, makes 4. Another red, that gives her 5. And one more red, that gave her 6 tally marks in her chart for her to organize her data. Then we went to yellow. She had 1, 2 yellow apples. Apple trees, excuse me. And then finally green, we see 1, 2, 3, 4. And she wrote down 4 tally marks. Excuse me. Okay, or another way besides tally marks is you can organize your data in a chart or a table. Okay, instead of making tally marks, she created a table that has the color of the apple tree she saw and the number of trees. So for red, she has 6, yellow 2, green 4. This is a different way to help organize your data. You can either do the tally chart or you can just make a table to show the number for your graphs. Why do you think it's important to organize the data before making a picture graph or a bar graph? Okay, so organizing your data helps you create an accurate graph. How are the tally chart and the table alike? Okay, so they both show the same information. And how they are different? Well, the tally chart uses tally marks and the table uses numbers to record the data. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our graphs on the next page. It says make a picture graph and a bar graph. For problems 9 through 11, use these graphs and the data from the previous page. Okay, so we're going to go back and we are going to use the data we have I'm going to go ahead and have the chart available. I'm going to use the chart to help me because it's already counted my marks, and I'm going to put it up here. Alright, so the first graph I'm going to work on is my picture graph. Let me move things down. There we go, so we can see our table with all of our data. So the first column was done for you. It shows red apples, and we see from our table that there were 6 red apple trees in that row. So we drew 6 apples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so remember, in a picture graph, you are making a picture of whatever your data shows. Okay, so the next column, we have yellow apple trees. And looking back at my table, it shows that there were only 2 yellow apple trees. So I'm going to color in 2 yellow apples. Alright, so since there are only 2 rows of yellow apple trees, I colored in 2 yellow apples, 1 for each tree. Then I'm going to move to the next column of green. I'm going to look back at my table. I show that there are 4 green apple trees. So I'm going to color in 4 green apples because there were only 4 green apple trees. Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I have 4 green apple trees. That doesn't really look like green. There we go, there's green. Okay, so that completes our picture graph. So number 9 basically says, color the picture graph to show how many yellow apple trees and green apple trees one saw. So we've already filled in our picture graph showing, using the data from our table. So on your graphs, why did we color the same number of apples and squares? Okay, so let's go ahead. Number 10, we're going to fill in our bar graph. So the first thing we need is our title. Remember, I told you all graphs have a title. So we're going to keep the same title, Apple Orchard Trees. Okay, and once again, I'm going to use my table. I'm going to color in the bars. So the first one I have is yellow. Once again, red has already been done for us. The numbers are written on the side. Each number represents an apple tree. So there are 6 red, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The top stops at 6. So yellow. Our table shows we have 2. So I'm going to color 2 boxes. Now we can answer my question, why did I color in the same number of yellow apples as squares? Correct, because our graph reflects the same data. Both our graphs are showing that there are 2 yellow apple trees in the row. Therefore, each graph in the representation only shows 2. I have 2 apples here, and then my bar goes up to 2. Same thing for green. I'm going to fill in the color green. And then for green, I'm going to look back at my table. Shows I have 4 green. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to color 4 squares. Okay, this is 1, 2. Oops, my paper keeps moving here. 3 and 4. Okay. So I've colored my 4 squares. And if I go to the top of my graph, over to the left where the numbers are, you will see it is on 4. Alright, so we filled in the labels, we filled in the title, and we have colored our bars to show how many yellow apples, apple trees and green apple trees Lynn saw. So now you're going to try it. We're going to draw a bar graph. Connor asked the students in his art class, "What is your favorite color?" The results are shown below. So what we need to do is we can create either a bar graph or a picture graph. I'm going to do one of each, and we're going to start with our tally marks. Okay, so in order to do this, I'm going to have to move my paper away, and I need you to follow along on your paper. Okay, so the first one I'm going to start with is my data. Okay, so I'm looking at the colors. I'm going to do a tally chart. Okay, so I have purple. And I have 1 purple. So what I'm going to do, I wrote purple, and then I'm going to cross out purple. Okay, I have blue. So I'm going to write blue on my paper and put 1 blue. And I'm going to cross blue off my paper. Okay, so we're going to make a tally chart and a bar graph. Okay, great. Then there's another blue. And cross that off and put blue here. Oops, not there. Blue here. Okay, then I have red. And I'm just going to get rid of this mistake here. Yeah, mistakes are easy to make. Alright. So far I have 1 purple, 2 blues, red. I'm going to cross out red, put 1 tally mark there for red. Okay, there's another red, so I'm going to cross that out and put another tally mark for red. Okay, then I have blue. Now I'm going to be careful and see that I gave blue. Then I have purple, so I'm going to come back up here to purple. Purple, I'm going to cross it out, put purple. I have a new color here, green. So I'm going to write green on my tally chart. And I have 1 green. So I'm going to put 1, I'm going to cross it out. Okay, I have another blue. So I add a mark for blue, cross it out. Okay, I have another purple. 1 for purple, cross it out. Okay, I have another purple. So since I already have 4 marks here, I'm going to draw my line that makes 5 purple. Blue, once again, 5 blue. And see, as I make my tally marks, I'm crossing off the color to make sure I have them all. I have another purple, green, and red. Okay, so I'm going to go back and count the colors. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, there are 16 colors here. So I need to make sure that I have 16 tally marks in all. So I have 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so I'm going to kind of finish my chart here. I've created my tally chart, which shows the data in my graph. And now I'm going to make my bar graph. Okay, so when I go to make my bar graph, let me get all my colors out here. So, darker. Oh, there we go. There's my blank. Alright, so since we're making a bar graph, we have to set it up. We're going to put our title, which is favorite color. Favorite color. That's the title of my graph. Now, I know that the highest number I have is 6. So I want to start my numbers over here. And I'm going to go ahead and start with 7. That's one more than what I have as my highest number. And that helps me determine how many numbers I need to put in my graph to write on the side. Because I don't need to put 20 numbers if I don't have 20 purple. So I'm going to start with 7. It's one number higher than my highest. And we're going to go down to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Right, just like our rulers, our graphs have to start at 0 to show that maybe no one voted for that particular color. So now I'm going to draw my line. Now I like to go down and do my numbers so I know how to make my line nice and neat. And then I'm going to draw my bottom line here. Let me go ahead and close off my graph. Alright, so the first color I have, I'm going to label the colors that I used. Now let me zoom out a little so you can see it better. Okay, so now I got to label the colors. So we had purple. We have blue. Now remember, you want to put enough space between your labels so you can draw your bars. Red and green. Okay, you see how I have some space between? They all are not right next to each other. Now I'm going to create my bar. So according to my data and my tally chart, I had 6 people chose purple as their favorite color. So I'm going to make my bar, okay? So this is important. I don't want my bar to go up to 7. I want it to go, when I get to the top, draw my line, and then I go across, it's showing me 6. Okay, 6 is this line here. If I go up one more, that's going to be 7. So I'm going to stop here at 6, and come down, and that's my purple bar. And I'm just going to kind of color it in that way. Then I have blue. Once again, my chart shows I have 5 blue. So I'm going to find my 5. My 5 stops at this line here. So I'm going to draw my line. That is on the 5. If I go to the top and go across, it shows 5. And I'm going to come down. It's a little off center, but that's okay. And there's my blue bar. Okay, next I have red. And looking back at my data and my tally chart, it shows that I have 3 red. 2, yep. 3, and I know that was hard to see, so let me fix this. Alright, it shows I have 3 red. So I'm going to come up 1, 2, 3. I'm going to make sure I'm at the 3. So this is where my line is. I'm going to go all the way across, and my finger is pointing to 3. And I'm going to draw my lines down, color in my chart. And my final color was green. Looking at the data on my tally chart, it shows that I have 2 students who chose green as their favorite color. So it's 1, 2. And just to make sure, I put my finger at the top here, go across, my finger's pointing on 2, and then bring it down. Great. What would also be fun for you to create your own bar graph, maybe using the color of, maybe you have some cereal that you can organize what colors are in there, or the marshmallows, or even, Skittles, M&Ms. Those are a lot of fun ways to sort data, make a tally chart, and create your own bar graph or your own picture graph. Right, you have a good afternoon, and Miss Horn will finish out your lessons this week.